So you've done the hard work, you've set up your factory, hired an awesome team, and you're finally ready to manufacture your product. But here is the ultimate business question. Once you actually decide to start a business, how do you know exactly how much to produce to maximize your profit? It's not just about making as much as humanly possible, it's about finding that absolute mathematical sweet spot, what economists like to call producer's equilibrium. Today, in this explainer, we're taking a panoramic look at how to solve this using the TRTC approach. All right, let's dive right in by defining our ultimate end goal. We aren't just talking about, keeping the lights on and paying the bills. We're talking about economic profit. This is the excess of your total revenue over all of your costs. It's often referred to as pure profit or supernormal profit. And structurally, it only happens under one very specific condition, when your total revenue outpaces your total cost. Put simply, TR just absolutely has to be greater than TC. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, TR and TC curve characteristics. Second, tracking the output regions. Third, finding maximum profit. And fourth, mapping total profit. Let's kick things off with Section 1, TR and TC curve characteristics. It's absolutely crucial to understand why these two metrics look so completely different when graphed out. Under perfect competition, total revenue, or TR, is a positively sloped straight line that just rises from zero at a constant rate. And why zero? Well, because if you produce 0 units, you make 0 revenue, right? But look at the flip side. Short-run total cost, TC, does not start at 0. It actually starts above the origin on the y-axis. This represents those pesky fixed costs, things like factory rent or insurance, which you're going to owe even if your machines are completely turned off. Plus, it has this very distinct inverse S shape. Initially, it's concave downward, so costs are increasing at a decreasing rate, but then it flips to concave upward, showing costs rising at a seriously accelerating rate. Now, what's really fascinating is seeing these forces interact together. Notice how the blue TR curve climbs steadily, kind of like a perfect ramp. But in stark contrast, that orange TC curve starts higher up at point A on the vertical axis. From there, its inverse S shape shows costs increasing, slowing down just a bit in the middle, and then aggressively accelerating upward as production scales up and just gets way more expensive to manage. Moving right along to Section 2, tracking the output regions. As we increase our output and move from left to right, we actually pass through 3 very distinct phases. First, up to an output level we'll call OL, the orange cost line is physically higher than the blue revenue line. Here, TC is greater than TR, creating a tough zone of negative profit, basically losses. But if you keep producing, we enter this golden era between output OL and ON. The blue revenue line finally overtakes the cost line. Now, TR is greater than TC, meaning the firm is finally making an economic profit. However, if we get a little too greedy and produce beyond output ON, diminishing returns kick in hard. Cost spiral, the orange line crosses back on top, and we're right back into a loss zone where TC is once again greater than TR. So, the key takeaway here is that these transitions are marked by very specific thresholds. Take a look at point B and point D. At output OL and output ON, these two curves intersect perfectly. Total revenue exactly equals total cost. At these precise coordinates, the firm is earning 0 economic profit. It's just barely managing to cover all its costs. In economics, we call these the break-even points. All right, on to Section 3, finding maximum profit. Scan the gap between the blue TR line and the orange TC line, right there in that middle profit zone. According to the TRTC approach, a firm achieves short-run equilibrium, which just means it has maximized its profit, where the positive difference between these two curves is the absolute greatest. We are basically hunting for the maximum vertical distance. And here, that magic happens right at line segment CE. If we drop a line straight down from segment CE to the horizontal axis, we hit output level OM. Producing at this specific target is the firm's ultimate optimization strategy. By churning out exactly OM units, they ensure the gap between what they earn and what they spend is as incredibly vast as possible, leaving absolutely no money on the table. And finally, Section 4, mapping total profit. This just brilliantly illustrates our findings. By dropping straight down from that main view, we can actually map that vertical distance into a brand new curve at the bottom, the total profit, or TP, curve. Watch how that maximum vertical gap at CE directly corresponds to point G. Point G is literally the absolute highest peak on our new dotted total profit curve. This lower view tells the entire story at a single glance. Up to output OL, the TP curve is submerged below the zero line, indicating negative profits, losses. It then perfectly crosses the line at points L and N, which perfectly match up with our break-even points, where profit is exactly zero. Between those points, the curve rises, cresting beautifully at point G, aligning exactly with output OM. The total profits earned at this ideal output level are visually equal to the distance of segment CE above or segment GM below. Past this peak, the curve slopes negatively, showing those profits vanishing as costs just start to spiral out of control. So, we've now seen the big picture of short-run producers' equilibrium. We've mapped exactly how total revenue and total cost interact to dictate exactly where a perfectly competitive firm should operate to maximize pure profit. But it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question. The TRTC approach gives us this beautiful panoramic view, sure, but how do economists pinpoint this exact same optimal output by analyzing just one single additional unit at a time? Well, that leads us directly to the precision tool of the marginal revenue and marginal cost approach, which is exactly where we're going to pick up in our next explainer. Keep optimizing.